I wish I would have thought of that joke.
Are there no lights in this house? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying.
That's a really good point about the lights in the house. That's a really good point. I gotta give that. He made some other points I haven't mentioned. That I'm not going to show on here. They would have used a loading ramp on the truck. Who gives a shit, man? And I'll just say this because I didn't do an intro for this because I'm not sure if this is going to be worthwhile. So I wasn't going to waste an intro in case this isn't worthwhile. Starting to feel like it'll be worthwhile. Birdman and Jason Sins. He keeps changing his name. I don't know what his channel name is now. JXL, it might be. They've ripped Cinema Sins a new one for being lazy, for being wrong, just outright lying. Lying with the editing. They'll not show something that explains something, and then they'll use a clip. They'll stop the clip right before there's an explanation, and then they'll bitch about something that the explanation covered. That's cheating, man. That's some Michael Moore editing bullshit. So it's horseshit. That's why I have no respect. I don't watch him anymore. But this was 7 years ago, and you see the video is only 9 minutes long. Now they pad it out to like 20 minutes because you get more money the longer the video is, right? So now they pad it out, which means they have to put in a bunch of bullshit. This is almost a 2-hour movie. To reduce it down to 9 minutes, including intro and outro, means they didn't really. I don't think they made up a bunch of bullshit like they would later, right? 3-4 years ago, this would be a much more annoying video. So I'm not here to tear them a new asshole. I think it's been done way better than I could ever do it. I'm curious if they raised anything that I didn't notice. That's the only thing I care about. And shit like, they would have used a fucking loading ramp on the truck. I don't give a shit about. So,
Your bad theory helped the killer go free. You ruin people's lives.
Reading ruins people's lives.
That's a really good clip. See, he had good jokes, man. This channel first became popular because they had good jokes. And then I think they descended into just trend surfing and, outright lying, like I said. They think they started styling themselves more as critics than joke masters. Like, for me, it's the jokes first. I will criticize films, but, I'm always looking for the joke first. That's all I care about. Because it's not about ego. It's not about, look, I'm smarter than this filmmaker. Because I understand there's so many reasons why something would be left out of a film that would explain a plot hole, Like the loading ramp thing. They probably just didn't have time in that day. They had to get the shot and get the fuck out. It was probably B-roll if you think about it, because there's no dialogue. And so they probably had 30 shots to get that day. It's just simply him getting the fucking box out of a truck, and that's it. Yes, they would use the loading ramp, but they're trying to get it. So I understand that. So I would never criticize something like that, because you're trying to get 30 shots in one day. You ain't got time to pull the fucking ramp down and put it back up, or rent a truck that has a ramp. Who knows, man? Come on.
Move in a few houses down from a crime scene again.
What wife doesn't know exactly what house they're moving into? Also, you know your husband better than you know yourself. You know damn well he moved into the murder house.
The second point's better than the first point. What do you mean what wife doesn't know what house? She knows the address of the fucking house, you nitwit. You think she fucking researched the entire history of the guy? Who the fuck does that? Who sits there when they move to... I swear to God, who in the entire history of the world has ever, when they're about to buy a house, Googled that address to see if anything's ever happened there? We probably should Google that address, but we don't, because we're fucking lazy, and everybody's lazy that way. So, who the fuck does that? I bet nobody's ever done that before, except some super paranoid post-traumatic stress motherfuckers, maybe who have been haunted before. Maybe they would Google the house they've lived in. And he makes the money, so he probably takes care of most of his business. She handles the kids. That seems to be the way they distribute their labor in this relationship. So that's just one more step removed. Why would she fucking go behind his back and check what he's doing and shit? She ain't got time. She's raising 2 fucking kids. And by the way, both these kids are fucking high maintenance. That's a lot of goddamn work. You think she has time to spend an extra hour up at night researching houses? Come on, man.
We didn't move in a few houses down from a crime scene again, did we?
Also, dude, she's obviously going to find out eventually that you moved into the actual crime scene house, so how do you hope to get away with this lie?
Clearly he didn't. What's interesting about that, he says it's bad enough to move, he's trying to quit. It's not. He even said when they argue about this later, I knew you'd find out eventually. Again, this sounds like somebody's never been in a relationship before. Who among us has not told a lie today to avoid a fight today, even though you know you're going to fight about it in 2 weeks? It's like, hey, man, that's future me's problem. I ain't fighting today. All I give a shit about is I'm not going to fight today. Come on, we've all done it. It's not the smart thing to do. We shouldn't do it. We should just get it out there up front. Maybe it wouldn't even be a fight if we get it out in front. But we all, in some point in our lives, have tried to avoid a fight today by, deferred it, basically. Put it on deferment, Because none of us want to have a fight today. If we have a fight tomorrow, okay, but we don't want to have a fight today. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Allison is a dick to Pennsylvania Scorpions. Things are going so bad.
You know what's interesting about that is the Scorpion was not that clear on the version I saw. This, I think, maybe they lightened this up. They may have done some post-production on the film. Like they pulled it, they ripped it from the DVD maybe. I saw a version that had been uploaded on YouTube. It was way darker. It was hard to tell a lot of the details. I actually liked the version I saw because it made it creepier. But I could, when it happened, and you'll see this when you see the cut of the film, I could not tell what he crushed with the box. I had no idea what it was.
Badly for Ellison that he can only afford to turn on one light in the dining room that really lights the table. Okay, so
he's making some good lighting points. That's the second time where they had. I didn't notice it. There's no way a family of 4 is going to have that badly lit of a dining room in some of the other rooms we've seen. Maybe when they're first moving in during the middle of the day, okay, maybe. But yeah, they're doing some shit with the lighting to make it creepy, and I didn't notice it. So they slip one past me.
Operator. King County Police, please.
Who dials the operator to get the police? What is this, mate?
That's a good point. I don't know. I didn't pick up on that either. He had made a bunch of shitty points before this. Like the last 4 sins before this were so shitty, I'm not even going to show them. I had no comment. They were awful. That's a good fucking point. See, that was the beauty of this channel early on. They made good points. Like that's another one that slipped past me. Like that is kind of dumb. Like how do you not know? Just 911, man. What the fuck?
Damn, calling the cops here is like trying to call your cable company.
I mean, when he's got a good point, he's got a good point.
They can still trace that call, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I made that same point.
He set up the call. Self-absorbed parents don't notice their son make a bacon and mayonnaise sandwich for breakfast.
Ew.
With your murder.
I didn't notice that either. Thank God I didn't notice. I wish you had noticed it. It's fucking nasty.
As someone who regularly ran projectors in his life, I can tell you that pausing a film like this would cause an immediate burning of film. Not the super delayed let's all have a good look at the evil that this projector allows.
See, that I don't know about. I'm not, he may be right. It may be instantaneous. I just remember it happens. Dad was always like, never pause this, right? So, if he probably did actually run projectors. I think that's part of his backstory. So, he would know better than me.
As a former projectionist, all I can say is, haha, you are fired. Raging fire can be killed by simply blowing on it. I know you're in
You're fired. Yeah, they would totally fire your ass. That makes a lot of sense.
This guy drinks every time he sees something he doesn't like on screen. If we took that approach, we'd be dead faster than Nicolas Cage and leaving Las Vegas.
Especially watching some of these shitty shows,
local news getting it wrong again. Their throats were slit, right? That's not stabbing, unless that's a nice way to describe throat slitting.
It might be, actually. They may not be allowed to say throat. I don't know what the standards are for, here I am nitpicking sentiment sentence, right? Which is the second or third level of hell, right? But I think it may be they may not be allowed to say that on local TV, especially back then. I think things are loosening the further we go along, but yeah.
This is my private office. I'm serious.
Then why did you lead him in here? The guy asked for an autographed book. You didn't say, wait here while I go
That's
get
a good point.
It's really...
That's a really good point, actually.
I'm wondering, did the other families encounter Mr. Boogie being a prankster dick before he killed them? Did someone in the household watch these home movies just like Ellison is doing now? This dude should be...
It's actually a valid question. We're going to have to go into pure fan wank territory here, because this is an interesting question to me. I'm going to say no. I think he was a special case, because he was a special kind of victim, right? He was the kind of person who investigated this kind of shit. I think this is like an extra special challenge to the bad guy, right? He's called him Mr. Boogie, which I just think is disrespectful. We'll just call him the demon, okay? I think the demon saw him as like an extra special challenge. Because, what she says, now, some of what she said to him, his daughter, could just be coming from her own bitterness as a kid, right? And she wants to hurt him. But there's also the fact, don't worry, Daddy, I'll make you famous again. That kind of shit, right? That was like extra savage. Seemed to be coming from the demon, right? I think this is a special case. Yeah, I think the demon's like, I'm going to actually fuck with this dude. This is what he likes. He likes to investigate true crime. I'm going to show him this shit before I take him out. I really believe it. So that's why the movie started here. The movie didn't start with one of the previous victims' families because that was more ordinary. There may have been maybe just the kids were going through shit. The parents had no idea until they were dead. Like maybe the demon wouldn't even involve the parents. But in this particular case, the demon's like, hey man, Look at this. Look at the way this guy's mind is. He actually, he pursues people like me. This is his ballpark. We're on his playground in his sandbox, right? I'm gonna fuck with this motherfucker before I kill him. It's pure fan wank, right? And I haven't read any internet theories or anything. That's my read of the situation.
Possible ghost killer? Better grab a baseball bat.
Look, man, that's the second time you talk about, you bring a knife to a ghost fight. So you're telling me at the points in the movie where this has happened, he's 100% convinced these are ghosts. That's what you're telling me. See, I guess these are jokes, right? Not his best ghost. Don't never take a knife to a ghost fight. It's a little funny. I'll admit that. I'm not trying to be an asshole here. But I wasn't convinced it was paranormal until over halfway through the movie, and I'm watching a movie where anything's possible. Why would he be convinced? In real life, you wouldn't be convinced. You hear a noise in the house, you're going to say, oh, it's a ghost, so I'm not going to bother picking up a baseball bat? Get the fuck out of here. This dude, they make fucking millions of dollars a year, literally millions of dollars a year. So we know he lives in a nice house. You're telling me he hears a noise downstairs. Even if there's been a bunch of creepy shit before, there were kids singing a scary nursery rhyme next door, and the Ouija board showed up at his coffee table the night before. You're telling me he could pull his gun out of the gun safe and go downstairs with his gun in his hand? Give me a fucking break. Of course you are.
The character leaves their door wide open when they go outside at night to investigate something cliche.
I don't know about that one. Because you don't want to block off your line of retreat. Now, look, you're exposing yourself. There could be animals running in. There could be bugs coming in. My mom would probably whip my ass if I left my door open, if I left it, when I was a kid. But, flip side, creepy situation. You don't know what's going on out there. Do you want to cut off your line of retreat? There could be a rabid dog out there, for instance, which we see later. Maybe not. Maybe you don't want to cut off your line of retreat because the time it takes you to fucking get the door back open, go through it, and close it behind you, those are precious seconds. So, I don't know about that one.
Writer somehow hasn't watched this film yet. Man, a full 2%
I made that
of
point.
this movie is glamour shots of Super 8 projectors being...
I made the point where it's like, how, with as short as these fucking films were, had he not watched the point? That's just a plot convenience. That's all it is. They're pacing the movie out. And we forgive that as an audience. It's like, okay, yeah, he would have totally seen it by now. But we want a well-paced movie. So we'd rather have a well-paced movie than a purely 100% logical movie,
Two. And he has to kill the entire rest of the family for some reason, including other tasty children he could simply store in the fridge for later.
Now, see, I think that's a radical interpretation. It is left ambiguous, I will say this. It's ambiguous. But what I think's going on here is for him to manifest and pull the child into his realm where he can eat the child's soul, the child has to do a blood sacrifice of their family to manifest him so that he can suck him back into his realm. That's what has to happen. So it would be different if he was coming out into the world and he was doing this shit himself. Then yeah, why not grab all the kids? Yeah, tasty treats. But no, I think there's like certain rules that have to be followed. It's almost like a recipe, okay? You have to get the kid on your side. They have to want to do this. Now, I'm sure there's influence. There's brainwashing going on. It's not just a kid, hey, let me kill my family. But there's brainwashing, sure. There's mental influence. Absolutely. But still, it's the child in the child's body. And at some point, that child says yes, even if they're heavily under influence. Or they're being groomed, in other words. At some point, they say yes. Okay, so that's one of the second piece of the recipe. They have to actually kill their family. Then he can manifest. So I think that he just didn't read that much into it. And I'm not saying I'm right, but I think I'm right.
Ghost girl who can appear out of thin air apparently needs to run away before Ellison sees her, as opposed to just disappearing the way she appeared.
Well, and see, that's interesting about that. See, I actually like it. I think it's really cool that they run away like that instead of disappearing, because we always see them disappear. We always see them appear and disappear. So he complains when something's a cliche, and then complains when they break the cliche, which again is another reason why so many people hate this channel. Hypocrite, right? But yeah, so I actually like it. I think that's one of my favorite things they did in this movie. Just the creepy way the kids run away. I really liked it a lot.
Did you think I wouldn't find out?
Good point, but for a while there, yeah, we were beginning to think about what that sweater smells like. He hasn't taken it off the entire movie.
Yeah, that's another thing I didn't notice. Yeah, that dude, I know, it looks like I wear the same shit. This is actually a short sleeve version, but it looks, on camera, it looks exactly the same as the other shit I wear, right? And I have two others that are long sleeve, right? So, maybe he just has a bunch of sweaters the same. I can't complain, because it looks like I stink too.
Ellison has no peripheral vision. No one in the entire house hears this shit.
Nobody in horror movies ever had peripheral vision. And peripheral vision, by the way, doesn't just mean here. It also means up here. Something creepy is on the ceiling. Motherfuckers never see it. When we walk in the room, we see the ceiling. Walk in the room sometime. Pay attention when you first step into a room through a doorway. You can see the entire fucking ceiling. Maybe there's a little patch right above you can't see. You can see the entire rest of the ceiling just by looking straight ahead. It's called peripheral vision, right? Yeah. In movies, they never can. It's hilarious.
Important phone call is neglected because Ellison is moving on, which makes
Well,
sense.
and I thought about this. I didn't mention this during the movie. What would that have changed? Say he'd been told about this during the day instead of that night. What would that have changed? Would he have, like, maybe tried to move out of this house too? I mean, how much money do you have, man? How many houses can you be tied to? Can you afford to, like, okay, let's all go to the hotel for how long? You know? What would have changed, actually, the call? I don't think it would have changed anything. I think he was fucked at this point. Unless he started suspecting his daughter and, like, not take drinks from him anymore, he was fucked. And even then, you gotta sleep sometime, right?
Also, that's how they get you. You don't appreciate a film at first, but then the director steps in and says, try this version. The studio butchered the original.
That is a hilarious joke. That's really good. Back in the day, 7 years ago, they were really good. Their writing was top-notch. I don't think they were cranking out as much as they are now, you know.
What happens if a couple without kids moves into the murder house?
Then they don't get killed? What kind of fucking question is that? Like, I'm sure a lot of people have lived in these houses, man, you know?
Are they left alone?
I like that you made the movies longer. They're better this way.
So this is the child who tells Michael Bay what to do.
A true laugh out loud funny line. You know what? Like, I'm not hating, man. Like, I'm not hating the channel. I'm just saying they used to be better. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I wish I would have thought of that joke.
Do you know for sure an 8-year-old girl can't do all this subduing and duct taping and adult body moving and
Okay. Let's think about this. Because, again, I'm solution-oriented. I'm not about just whining and bitching. How would you do this? Okay, the drugging, of course, obviously. She's an 8-year-old girl. How is she going to move him? How far did she move? Do we know how far she moved him? How would you do it? That's a tough one, actually. Maybe they had furniture sliders. You know what those are? Is these little pads you put under each leg of the furniture, like a chest of drawers. You put a pad under each one of them. You can just easily slide. A child could slide it, right? You know, it's so fucking easy to slide. These look like wood floors. Even easier. Carpets, but carpet's no problem either. So what I would do is you just got to lift up. Okay, what are the pressure points? His buttocks and his shoulder blades, essentially. So you get 4 of these pads. You put one under each ass cheek, one under each shoulder blade, and you can push him. You can even pull him. That's what I would do if I was a kid. Demon Smart. They've been moving a bunch. These things are probably still sitting out. You know. That's the solution I got. It's a tough question. It's a fair question. So it may, we only see him being moved. The mom would be tough because if the mom's in the bed, you got to take the mom from the bed down to the floor, and you can't fucking lift her up and set her down. So I guess you got to pull her out, slam her down to the fucking floor. You know, that's gonna fucking leave a mark. You know what I mean? Like, I guess you don't give a shit, but still, that's an issue. It's a logistical issue. It's an honest logistical issue. But again, it's not one I thought of during the episode. But it is a fair point, I think. But it's also not insurmountable, in my opinion.
F*** you. Seriously.
I thought the same way. I told him that was completely fucking unnecessary. You gotta love a movie that has a sense of humor. By the way, look at this trailer. That kind of gives away that it's a girl, isn't it? Doesn't it? I meant the poster. Look at this poster. If this is a poster from the film, that gives it away. Wow, what an asshole! Like, I hate it when marketing gives away the plot points. Lawn work, yeah, that would be troubling. Well, I mean, I guess I'll post this. I think I got a laugh or two out of this. It's just it was a lark. I'd mentioned Cinema Sins a couple times during the episode, and I was like, well, I'll just see if they did this. I saw they did. I saw they were short. If it had been 20 minutes, I would never even bothered. But, it's short from a long time ago, so what the hell, right?